Hello friends, this is Growl, and in this video I'm going to go over my plans for the early weeks of the War Within launch. When you're seeing this video, this will be the morning of release for early access. I've been spending the day cleaning up, getting the fridge stocked, cleaning up the UI, emptying the bags, all that fun stuff that we like to do at the start of the expansion. And I thought I would put together a video where we go over what exactly is going on with the launch for each individual week for the people who either haven't been on in the loop or just want to make sure that they're doing everything, as well as I'll also include my specific plans, but for the most part this is what you should be expecting to be doing. And because myself and my editor are very busy with class guides and all this stuff, we will pull up the good old Word or a notepad for what we will explain the stuff with. So first we're going to talk about well, this is a little bit cheesy, but you know, before launch, obviously, right, getting the fridge stocked, cleaning everything up, cleaning up bags, getting ready. Leveling is generally pretty chill. There's nothing too much that you can do with caring about leveling, and we're not really going to talk about that. So we got early access plus weeks 1 and 2. These are slightly different. For example, heroic dungeons don't come out until weeks 1 and 2. Also, there's no weekly resets for early access. But for all intents and purposes, for me, these are basically the same things. So here's our priority list for this period in time. First off is going to be level characters to max. And this is by far and away the best time to level your characters. You're still high off the juices of the new expansion. Everybody else is leveling. The open world is exciting. You're wanting to play. You're not going to want to level these characters in a month or two. You know, let's say you decide to want to play something else, or your guild needs something for a raid, or whatever happens. A class gets buffed. You're not going to want to have to spend the whatever hours that it's going to take to level up a guy to max. You're just going to want to, you know, have that guy ready. So I'm going to level as many characters as I can possibly withstand. This may be 5, 6, 7. Traditionally, it's been every healer at the start of the expansion. Now we have Evoker, so it'll be an extra one. Some things to note about leveling. So from what I've heard some people say it takes 5 hours to level. I've heard some people it takes 8 hours to level. And in general, this is like sort of made up, and early on you have to deal with server problems and, you know, sharing stuff with other people and bugs. So anywhere, I think, in the neighborhood of 6 to 11 hours for leveling up and completing the whole campaign seems reasonable. A couple important things about the campaign. Different chapters of the campaign, so there's like 4 different zones, if you will, and different chapters are gated behind being a certain level. You cannot always continue on the campaign until you reach that level, and from what I understand, if you just follow along in the main storyline, you're going to get stuck at level 78. Around this time, if you just rush through everything, you're going to be roughly level 76 and a half, and to finish the last part you're going to need to be level 78. So what this means is do easy side quests and world events and whatever, you know, even check out the dungeons. You know, don't stress out about rushing through the main story. Sometimes it is the case that if you just rush through the main story, you're going to get to max level anyway, and so any of the other bonus stuff that you do is a waste. But from what it seems like, you will need to do some side quests and world events. I'm not saying clear out everything, but, you know, let's say there's one that's nearby. It's definitely worth, you know, taking a slight detour to do it. And that being said, and also part of leveling is doing the campaign. Make sure you finish the campaign on at least 1 character. This is going to unlock all of the stuff that we're going to be doing for the first couple weeks. Delves, world quests, and so on. My understanding is what I'm probably going to do is, if I can find people to play with, level in a group and spam dungeons after my first character. So first character, go through the campaign, see what's going on, get it finished, get all the stuff unlocked. Then you'll be able to just dungeon spam or level however you want on your alts. So that's going to be my plan. If you don't have people to group with and stuff like that, You may just run through the campaign a couple times, but I get bored of questing very, very easy. So, besides leveling, what's the other important thing? I'm not sure what's going on, the situation with the weekly vault. So traditionally, the weekly vault only rewards you for doing M+ in raid, and there's no M+ in raid in this period. However, they've lowered what you get, or they've lowered the minimum content that you need to do to get a vault. So for instance, heroic dungeons or delves will reward a vault slot. And if that is the case, you know, you are going to want to do some amount of heroic dungeons and level 3 delves. That's where they're going to be capped on the first week, or the first 2 weeks, I should say, and to get a weekly vault. And I think this stuff will be announced and figured out as, you know, the expansion goes live. I think they're kind of holding back on some of this information to, you know, release the floodgates once the actual if the actual expansion goes live. But your weekly vault is going to be your most important gear that you can get during this period, and there's not very much important gear that you can get. Secondly, delve keys. So in week 3, delves will be up to level 8, and you will be able to do bountiful delves. We don't know how many delve keys we will be able to get in the first 2 weeks. They may not have any. You may be able to get a ton. Anything that's low-hanging fruit, simple like weekly quests and stuff like that, you're going to want to grab as many of these delve keys as you can and hold on to them. If they do allow you to use delve keys in the first 2 weeks, you do not want to do this, because each delve key is sort of limited. It's a one-time use, and once the 3rd week opens up, we believe that you'll be able to get some pretty decent loot from there. So don't waste these on lower level delves. You only want to use these on level 8 or higher delves, and I believe only 1, 2, and 3 will be available in these first 2 weeks. Then this is I would describe as the important stuff. You don't need to spam out every delve key. You don't need to fill every weekly vault slot up. But for characters that you care about, this is what you should do: level them up, finish the campaign, and then do this. For sure, I will do these things on at least 2 characters, and then level up as many as I can. Some extra stuff that there will be to do that I will probably be doing. One of them is gearing in heroic dungeons. These will be medium challenge, not too tough, definitely puggable, but they'll be a little harder than previous heroic dungeons. However, this loot will be not very good, very likely. This is specifically lower item level during this period, and this gear will get replaced very quickly. So this is not a very high priority. You don't need to gear up every character, but chances are I'm going to want to play my main a little bit and do some dungeons and gear him up. Secondly, we're going to talk about reputations and rare farming. So very often there are sort of like limited amount / one-time optional ways that you can get gear during these weeks. This stuff isn't important for long-term progress, but let's be honest, it's really fun to try and get whatever gear that you can get to be as, you know, ahead of the pack, or whatever people like to say in these early weeks. So a couple of things are in the reputation. So for instance, when you go into this renown panel, some of these rewards, I haven't even opened this, but some of these rewards can be good. Like for example, this reward is in some of the tracks, and this gives you a certain type of crest that can be used for crafting. So this will be a boost to item level on something that you craft. There will also be delve keys in here, and maybe even some armor pieces. So this is something that, depending on what sort of reputation is repeatedly farmable, and you know how much time you want to put into this, this is something that you can do if you want to, although it's not important at all. It's just something that you'll do for fun when you're bored. And that's pretty much all of week 1 and week 2. This will be the early access period. No rush, in my opinion. Not worth taking time off or going crazy here. You want to pace yourself a little bit, and we'll talk about now week 3. So week 3 is also what people refer to as heroic week. So what gets released on this week? The most important thing is the raid. So heroic raid and normal raid. And now this will be the best possible loot that you can get from this week by far is from the heroic raid. So I know there are people that say I don't like to raid, or I only want to do M plus, blah blah blah. You look, you can do whatever you want, but if you want the best possible gear, unfortunately you're going to have to struggle through the trenches and try and pug some of these heroic raids or normal raids. This is going to be your best possible vault. This is going to be your best possible drops. This is going to be your best chance at getting a 4-piece tier. You're going to want to get into the heroic raid and be doing some of these raid bosses as a top priority on this week 3. Secondly, delves are now, I believe, up to rank 8 or level 8, and you'll be able to use bountiful keys. We may have a lot of keys saved up. We may not, depending on what's available. So the next thing that you'll want to do is delve for gear and for your weekly vault. So past heroic raid, the next possible good loot is going to be from delves. Your vault for delves, I believe you need to do 12 the last I checked in order to fill out all 3 of your slots. And then also you want to be doing a bountiful delve and spending your keys, as many keys as you can possibly acquire. This will be item level 603 gear. So not quite as good as heroic, but better than the dungeon loot that you're getting. So after, you go into raid, you don't want to spend any time in raid, or your friends or guild isn't around. You want to be spending time doing your delve keys and getting a delve vault. And I'll be honest, these delves are not too tough. So even on alts that you didn't really spend a lot of time doing this stuff with, farming out good gear, you should still be able to do some delving. And this is by far the best part of delves, is that you can use delves by yourself to just slowly gear up characters. It's not the fastest means, it's not the strongest means, but week 3 you're definitely going to get a lot of cool gear on some alts that you wouldn't otherwise get. And lastly, on week 3 is Mythic 0 dungeons. So these will be unlocked, and I believe this gear is 597 item level. So not only these are daily lockouts, and these will be quite challenging. So in my opinion, this will be the most fun thing to watch. And chances are I'll be doing quite a lot of this on my stream, just because it'll be good content and I think people will enjoy watching these. However, it's more important that you pug raid bosses, or with your guild or whatever, and that you get delve gear and spend all your keys and fill up your vault. M0 is going to have the lowest vault and the lowest gear of these 3 options. So this is the least desirable. This is only something that you want to do for fun or to fill up slots once you can no longer do these 2. You can also do any of these things in early access week 1 or 2, but the goal is that you spend all this time in week 1 and 2 doing all this, and you won't need to do any more. And so you can spend all of your time doing this stuff. This is, I would say, a medium intensity week. You definitely want to be spending a lot of time pugging raid, doing your delves, keeping up your alts, but it's not infinite. Like, eventually you're going to run out of stuff to do. It's not like you can just keep spamming stuff over and over again. Eventually you're going to get, even if you're doing M0 clears every day, which is kind of ridiculous, eventually you're going to get 597 item level and you won't need this gear anymore. So now, week 4. This is season start, in my opinion. Let's call it Mythic Start, because technically I think the season starts on week 3, but I'm going to call it Mythic Start. Okay, so now the floodgates are open. Everything that's available in the game should be available. So, obviously, doing raid, mythic, heroic, and then normal, and I don't know if I don't think LFR is available, but let's call it lower difficulties. Only for tier or alts, if you're bored. But for the most part now, these lower difficulties of the raid become obsolete. There's not a lot of reason to do them. On top of that, we now have Mythic Plus that I can farm. So when I'm not in the raid with my guild, all of my time is going to be spent spamming M+. And you want to push up as high as you can. This will be very, very tough for most people, and this will honestly take up your whole week, possibly, if you're an M+ player. Being able to do a +10 for your vault, so this is the max vault. This will be very tough. I have a video about this. Only a select few people will be able to do this. So this will be a goal for some people, especially if you're not in a Mythic guild and you're kind of just pugging it. This should be your main focus this week. Then let's say you don't want to do M+, you just want to chill, delve in Downtime, and this is going to be alts only, really. So you see now the delve gear that you get is 603. The gear that you're going to get from M+ and from Mythic and Heroic Raid is going to be much better than this gear now. The gear from delves will become irrelevant on your main character starting week 4. And this is only going to be for alts. However, this is still great to do on alts. If you just feel like chilling, spending an hour or two, you know, just doing whatever, watching a movie, you'll be able to actually get weekly vaults on a bunch of different guys. You'll have tons of vaults to open, and you'll actually get some pretty decent gear to the point where, you know, after a few weeks of doing this, you'll be able to step foot into some Mythic Plus or some Heroic Raid on an alt that you basically didn't play except for solo content. And that's pretty much it. So TLDR, level up all your guys, do a little bit of fun stuff. Right here in weeks 1 and 2, I would say the most important thing is if you aren't really that concerned with like just doing all this crazy stuff, don't worry about it. All these things are not important at all, and you should just... The most important thing to do in weeks 1 and 2 is level your character and then do whatever you want to do that's fun. Enjoy the expansion however you want to. However, if you're a sweaty nerd and your idea of enjoying the expansion is being 2 item levels higher than all of your friends by playing 12 hours a day, the most important thing here to do is keep your ear to the ground, pay attention to what streamers are doing, what your guildies are doing, learn about the different reputations. If there's something good you could do to farm a reputation, that might save you a lot of time. I'm not going to say exploit early, exploit often, but, you know, if you hear about something that you can get that seems a little bit too good to be true, you may want to spend some time doing it because that option might not be available to you for the rest of the 2 weeks. Then on Heroic Week, dump into the raid, fill out your vault, and then once Mythic starts, spam out that M+ and get geared up. So yeah, that is the plan. I guess that was more of a plan for you guys than it was for me. So when it comes to my characters, my main is going to be my Evoker. I'm going to be spending most of my time playing my Evoker. I think I sort of picked it. It sounds funny, but I think it'll actually be fun for like doing delve stuff and solo content anyway. Like I think Evoker is a character that I've never raided on. And also I think it'll be a fun single player character and it'll be fun to do the campaign on. Overall, I'm just excited to play Evoker. And then for my main alt, it's probably going to be Resto Shaman. I think that's an alternative good M+ character, and also just, you know, I like Shaman as well. And then other than that, I'll just be leveling up all my healers. I think Holy Paladin and Druid, if I had to pick like a second alt and a third alt, those would probably be them. And then my Priest and the other guys will probably fall behind the wayside a little bit unless they see some changes or whatever. As for videos... I know people might be looking forward to that. So this is on the horizon right now. I want to do a UI video. This is coming very soon. Also have some stuff to talk about there that you may already know about by the time this video gets released. Next, I want to do class guides for Evoker and Shaman. That's my main goal. I may do some other classes. I've spent a bunch of time on Evoker and Shaman, and I'm confident talking about them in dungeons. With some other classes, I'm kind of going to see, like, for instance, Holy Paladin Ellismere came out with a great guide. Mistweaver, Meg came out with a great guide. I don't think there's a lot I have to add. They've put in a ton more time in the beta than me with those characters. So, but maybe a class like Resto Druid, we'll see, you know, what ends up getting put out or whatever. And lastly, I want to do a healer tier list. Ooh, I'm kind of just holding this back as long as I can because I want this to be relevant for the beginning of the patch. I don't want random nerf to get this fixed and change all the order of everything. But this will be coming soon. This is all hopefully stuff that will be in these first 2 weeks. And then we'll see. We'll see what goes on. We'll have some other fun content. Lots of Mythic Plus related. I kind of want to do like maybe some sort of tips video about how to try and work towards a +10 on this first week. Maybe some stuff about the raid, maybe a Prez Evoker raid guide. Who knows? I got to figure all this stuff out. So that's it. That's my plan for what I'm going to be doing the next couple weeks. I am super excited. I'm sitting in the the cleanest my room has been in the last like 3 months. You know, getting ready for everything. I got my fridge well stocked. We're ready to go. I hope you guys are as excited as me. I will be streaming all this stuff. There's lots of exciting Twitch drops going on that will be active on Twitch, and I'll be live on YouTube as well. All of my VODs are in the live section of my YouTube, and I will keep doing that. And yeah, super hyped. If you made it this far, I appreciate you. Good luck in your adventures, and happy keying, friends.